7 signs you're a rare demon killer chosen one of the shadow realms. There are hidden warriors in this world who do not look like the warriors we are taught to admire. They do not carry swords of steel or march into battlefields dressed in armor. Instead, they carry scars on their souls, battles fought in silence, and victories few will ever see. These warriors are the rare demon killer chosen ones of the shadow realms. You may not realize it, but if you are hearing these words and something inside you stirs something that feels like recognition, you may be one of them. Demon killer does not mean you are violent in the ordinary sense. It means you have been given the extraordinary role of confronting energies, entities and forces that thrive in shadow, deception, and despair. It means you walk into places others fear, not to be consumed, but to purge, to cleanse, to bring balance back. And the truth is, only a handful of souls in any generation are chosen for this role, because the price is enormous and the responsibility is heavier than most can bear. So how do you know if you are one of them? It begins with the first sign, the sign of relentless confrontation with inner demons. Most people struggle with bad habits, insecurities, or shadows, but they can look away, they can numb themselves with distractions, they can ignore the mirror. You cannot. The shadow comes after you over and over again, demanding you face it, break it, and rise above it. Your very life is structured as a battlefield against unseen forces within yourself, as if the universe refuses to let you live comfortably with mediocrity. The demon killer's path is not a path of peace at the beginning, it is war. But every war you fight internally builds a strength others cannot imagine. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you felt that life was pushing you to your absolute breaking point, and yet you found a way not just to endure but to come out sharper? That is not accident. That is training.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The second sign is the ability to see through deception. Demon energy thrives in lies, illusions, and manipulation. They whisper half-truths. They cloak themselves in attractive disguises. They infiltrate with seduction. But you, without even trying, spot what others miss. People may call you suspicious or too intense, but deep down, you know when something is off. You feel the subtle shifts in energy, the unspoken tension in a room, the vibration of dishonesty under someone's words. This gift is not comfortable. It often isolates you. You may even wish you could unsee what you see, because ignorance would feel easier. But your ability to pierce deception is one of the clearest marks of the demon killer. Without it, the shadow realms would overrun this world unchecked. The third sign is your strange attraction to the forbidden. You are not a person content to swim in shallow waters. Your soul has always been pulled toward the dark, the mysterious, the things others warn you to avoid. You might find yourself fascinated with hidden knowledge, ancient texts, or truths that society calls taboo. This is not because you are corrupted, it is because your soul knows the battlefield is not in the sunshine but in the shadows. You go there not to indulge but to understand. Only those who enter the cave can slay the monster. So your attraction to darkness is not weakness, it is strategy. It is the path of one who must know their enemy deeply in order to defeat it. Have you ever wondered why your curiosity takes you into places others call dangerous? That is not coincidence. That is initiation. The fourth sign is endurance in suffering. Demon killers are forged, not born. And the forging happens in pain. You may have endured loss after loss, betrayal after betrayal, moments that stripped you bare and left you on your knees. Others break under such burdens, but you adapt, you learn, you transform. Your scars are not decorations, they are proof. Proof that you have walked through the fire and did not vanish. Proof that you can withstand what would destroy others. And every time you rise, your very being becomes more dangerous to the shadow realms, because nothing terrifies demons more than a soul that cannot be broken by suffering. The fifth sign is the compulsion to protect. Even when you don't want to, you find yourself standing up for others, intervening in conflicts, defending the weak, or shielding those who cannot shield themselves. This protective instinct is not about ego, it is about duty. Deep inside, you feel it is your responsibility to keep the darkness from devouring the innocent. And sometimes you've paid the price for it, losing friendships, carrying heavy burdens, even being misunderstood as the villain yourself. But the mark of a demon killer is not popularity, it is guardianship. You are not here to be liked, you are here to keep the balance intact. The sixth sign is visions of battle. This may come as literal dreams, recurring nightmares where you fight shadowy figures, or waking moments where you sense you are wrestling with something unseen. Many dismiss these experiences as imagination, but for you, they are training grounds. You are already battling beyond this physical world. The shadow realms test you in dreams long before they face you in reality. The fact that you wake from these encounters drained, yet alive, is proof that you are already practicing your role. The seventh sign is transformation of energy. Demon killers carry the rare ability to take toxic energy and transmute it. You may notice how when you walk into a chaotic environment, the energy shifts. People feel calmer or sometimes more unsettled because your vibration forces what's hidden to rise. You absorb, you reflect, you cleanse. And yes, sometimes it exhausts you. Sometimes you feel drained because you've carried the weight of energies not your own. But this too is part of your role. Your field dismantles demonic influence simply by existing. And when you learn to harness this consciously, your presence itself becomes a weapon against the shadows. So pause with me. Look back at your life. Do you see these 7 signs woven through your story? Do you recognize that your struggles, your scars, your strange attractions, and your unshakable instincts were not accidents but evidence? What if you were never cursed but chosen? What if every time you thought life was unfair, it was actually training you for the battles only you could fight? Because here is the truth. Being a rare demon killer chosen one of the shadow realms is not about hunting monsters in myth. It is about purging corruption in yourself, in your community, in your world. It is about walking into places of fear and planting courage. It is about holding the line so that light does not vanish under deception. And if you carry these signs, then you are not ordinary. You are part of a lineage of protectors who stand unseen, ensuring the shadow realms do not consume what is sacred. But knowing the signs is only the beginning. The next question is, why does this role even exist? Why must there be demon killers at all? And what cosmic function do they serve in a universe that already has angels, guardians, and guides? The answer will shake your understanding of reality itself. The hidden purpose, why the shadow realms exist, and why only demon killers can break their grip. The universe arranges itself in mirrors and counterbalances. For every force that draws life outward into light, there is a corresponding force that tests, compacts, and refines by pulling inward into shadow. The shadow realms are not some cosmic accident or moral error. They are an essential dramaturgy of consciousness. They house what we refuse to look at: our corruptions, unintegrated pain, collective blind spots, and the parasitic patterns that feed on denial. Without a place where shadows can gather, the light would have no contrast and the soul would never be forced to choose. That hardening pressure is necessary. It fractures illusions so new structures of truth can be built. But left unchecked, those same forces can metastasize into predation, coercion, and spiritual anesthesia. That is why nature, fate, and whatever intelligences govern the threshold appoint rare ones, demon killers, to break the grip of shadow before it becomes a systemic rot. You must understand the architecture of the shadow realms to wield your authority. These dim fields are populated by echoes, thought forms created by fear, loops of trauma that find form, and entities that feed on confusion and consent. They operate by two simple rules: obfuscate and attach. Obfuscation clouds perception, so beings make choices from partial truth. Attachment keeps energy tethered to suffering so it can be harvested. Demon killers learn, often the hard way, to see through those rules. They do not simply fight apparitions, they dissolve the consent structures that allow shadow to persist, the unasked for loyalties, the inherited vows, the small daily agreements to live beneath our possibility. That is why the role is surgical rather than gladiatorial. You are not merely a warrior swinging at shapes. You are an intelligent intervention who cuts the cords of consent so whole systems can breathe again. Only those who have been tempered by suffering and trained in inner sovereignty can do this work. Why? Because breaking the grip of shadow requires two seemingly opposite capacities: implacable clarity and a compassionate restraint that prevents righteous cruelty. Clarity allows you to see the root where the rot begins, who benefits from it, what lies sustain it. Compassion restrains the triumph of clarity from curdling into punitive domination. Many who possess fierce clarity become zealots. Many who possess tender compassion become enablers. Demon killers integrate both. Your scars become instruments. They teach you the speed of escalation, the taste of temptation, and the cost of collateral harm. This practical calibration is why only a handful of souls can dismantle the shadow realms without being absorbed by them or converting them into new tyrannies. There is also an ethical ecology you must master. Think in systems, not in headlines. When you cut a parasite's chain recklessly, you may free one person but destabilize 10 others who were entangled in that pattern. The great work of a demon killer is to remove the tumor while preserving the organism. That means phased extractions, containment rituals, and careful re-education of the wounded whole. It means recognizing when to purge and when to hold, when to expose and when to heal. It is precise medicine, not blunt force. You will learn to read ripples, how a small intervention in a neighborhood can shift a lineage 2 generations later. This long-view thinking is what differentiates you from a hero of myth who slays monsters for applause. Your victories are quiet, slow, and often invisible to the untrained eye. Finally, accept that the shadow realms test your integrity daily. They tempt you with the shortest paths, fame for a dramatic exorcism, the lure of control over those you intended to help, the seduction of becoming the dark's mirror. Your training, your practice, and your coven of witnesses are the guardrails that keep you true. Remember, the goal is never to annihilate shadow entirely. That is impossible and unwise, but to keep it contained, integrated, and honest so it can serve its cosmic purpose without devouring life. That is the difference between chaos and compost. One destroys, the other nourishes new growth. Ask yourself now, do you approach this work like a soldier seeking glory or like a surgeon seeking healing? Because your answer will determine whether you become a savior or a scourge. If your aim is to serve the long game, balance, restoration, the reintegration of broken energy, then you are on the path of a true demon killer. If your aim is spectacle, the shadow realms will use you as fuel. Which will you choose? The 7 ordeals that forge a demon killer in the shadow realms. To understand whether you are truly the rare demon killer chosen one, you must recognize that such a soul is not revealed through ordinary life. You are revealed through ordeals, through fires that consume everything false until only the indestructible remains. These are not gentle lessons, they are initiations. Each ordeal arrives like an enemy, but if you endure, you discover it was a teacher. And every demon killer must walk through 7 of them, in different forms at different times, but always with the same demand: surrender what is weak and awaken what is eternal. The first ordeal is the loneliness of exile. From an early stage, you feel out of place among family, friends, even in spiritual communities. You are the one who sees what others refuse to see. and that makes you a threat. Exile teaches you to stand alone, not out of pride, but because the strength to face demons cannot come from borrowed validation. This ordeal asks you, can you be true to your vision even when no one supports you? The second ordeal is the confrontation with your own shadow. Demon killers are not chosen because they are flawless, they are chosen because they have faced their flaws. Rage, envy, desire, fear, all of it surfaces with ruthless intensity. The ordeal is not about suppressing it, but about owning it, transmuting it. The moment you stop pretending to be pure and start integrating your shadow, you become untouchable to the tricks of the shadow realms, because what you own cannot be used against you. The third ordeal is betrayal. Sooner or later, someone you love deeply wounds you. The pain cuts not just your heart, but your sense of trust in the world. This ordeal forces you to learn discernment, to see beyond words and appearances. It also forces you to decide whether your heart will harden into bitterness or remain open with wisdom. A demon killer cannot serve the light if their heart becomes stone. The ordeal of betrayal forges a heart that is sharp but not closed. The fourth ordeal is temptation of power. The shadow realms will dangle before you opportunities to control, dominate, or exploit. They may come as subtle manipulations or as grand invitations to rule. The ordeal here is restraint. Can you wield influence without greed? Can you walk away from offers that feed your ego but drain your soul? Demon killers who fall here become corrupted leaders. Those who rise become guardians who can be trusted with true authority. The fifth ordeal is the abyss of despair. There comes a point when meaning collapses, when life feels like ashes, when every effort seems futile. This ordeal is designed to strip away false purposes, leaving only the core. If you can endure despair without losing your will, you discover a power that cannot be broken, because it no longer depends on circumstance. Out of despair is born clarity, the kind that pierces illusions like a blade. The sixth ordeal is endurance in battle. Demonic forces do not fight fair. They drain your energy, attack your relationships, distort your mind. They push until you are exhausted, until giving up seems easier than resisting. But the ordeal is about stamina. Can you keep going again and again, even when nothing seems to improve? Those who endure become immovable. They become the warriors who can stand at the threshold without flinching, no matter how long the night lasts. The seventh ordeal is service without recognition. You will fight battles no one sees, heal wounds others deny, dismantle energies that leave no applause. The ordeal here is humility. Can you labor for a world that may never thank you? Can you bear invisibility while still carrying out your mission? When you accept this, you transcend the need for approval, and your work becomes pure. At this point, you are no longer serving for yourself, you are serving for all. Pause and look at your own journey. Which ordeals have you faced? Which are you in right now? Can you see how each one has carved you into someone different from the crowd, someone sharper, wiser, and more enduring? Demon killers are not chosen by accident. They are chosen because they survived the forge, and their scars became signatures of initiation. And this brings us to the most profound truth of all. Once you have endured the ordeals, your mission is no longer about you. It is about the balance of worlds. It is about standing in the breach so that the shadow realms cannot dominate unchecked. Your scars are not for vanity, they are for duty. And that duty is what we must now face. The cosmic duty of the demon killer, how you hold back the shadow realms and protect the light of the world. Everything we have spoken until now, your signs, your ordeals, your visions, has been preparation for this final truth. To be a rare demon killer, chosen one of the shadow realms, is not a badge to wear for pride. It is a responsibility so vast that many spend lifetimes trying to avoid it. Yet if you are called, you cannot escape it. You will feel its weight in your bones and its urgency in your heart. The cosmic duty of the demon killer is to hold back the tide of shadow so that humanity does not collapse into blindness, despair, and corruption. You are not here merely for your own survival, you are here to guard the flame of the world. The shadow realms thrive on imbalance. Their power grows not when darkness simply exists, but when it overruns its rightful place, suffocating light and chaining souls into cycles of decay. Demons are not just creatures, they are patterns, frequencies, parasitic forces that infiltrate thoughts, emotions, cultures. They corrupt leaders, twist justice, seduce the desperate, and whisper into the weak. They convince people to surrender their will, to drown their courage, to betray their souls. Left unchallenged, they would spread like wildfire. And this is why demon killers are born, because only those who have survived despair, who have walked into shadows without collapsing, can confront that wildfire and not be burned alive. Your duty is multidimensional. On the personal level, you cut down the demons that attempt to infiltrate your own mind. Every time you resist the temptation to hate, every time you rise after betrayal, every time you turn fear into courage, you slay a demon. On the communal level, you sense the poisons creeping into groups, families, societies. You intervene not always loudly, sometimes with a whisper, sometimes by simply refusing to bow to corruption. And on the cosmic level, your vibration itself becomes a weapon. Your presence destabilizes the frequencies of the shadow realms. This is why you often feel drained, why people react strongly to you, because your very energy forces hidden demons to reveal themselves. That is the field of a demon killer at work. But here is the paradox: you are not called to eradicate shadow completely. To believe that would make you no better than the very forces you fight, because balance would collapse without darkness. Your role is containment, not annihilation. Integration, not obliteration. You are here to prevent shadow from overrunning its boundaries, to keep it in its rightful place as a teacher, a tester, a refiner. And that means you must carry both ferocity and wisdom. Too much ferocity, and you destroy what should remain. Too much softness, and you let corruption fester. The demon killer walks the razor's edge, fierce enough to strike, gentle enough to discern. Your cosmic duty also demands sacrifice. You may never receive recognition for the battles you fight. The world may never know that its survival on certain nights depended on your endurance. You may lose relationships because people cannot understand the weight you carry. You may even be branded as strange, dangerous, or misunderstood, and yet you cannot quit. Because the duty is not optional, it is woven into your very essence. To deny it would be to suffocate your own soul. Ask yourself, are you willing to embrace that kind of life? A life where your victories are often invisible, your scars uncelebrated, your sacrifices unknown. If your heart says yes, then you are already fulfilling your role. Because the true demon killer does not fight for applause, they fight for balance, for truth, for the silent continuation of life's sacred flame. And remember this, the shadow realms fear you not because you are perfect, but because you are resilient. They fear the soul that has endured every betrayal and still loves. They fear the warrior who has stood in despair and still rises. They fear the one who carries scars and yet still protects others. That is the essence of the demon killer: indestructible faith, weaponized compassion, and the refusal to surrender to corruption. So as we close, I leave you with one final question. If you knew that your life was the line between humanity and the abyss, if you knew that your endurance tonight, your refusal to bow tomorrow, your courage next week was all that kept the shadow realms from consuming more light, would you still walk this path? Would you still carry the title of demon killer, knowing it may cost you everything, but that without you, the balance would collapse? If your answer is yes, then you already are the rare demon killer chosen one of the shadow realms. You are the guardian of thresholds, the slayer of deception, the unseen protector of the flame. And the world, though it may never say it owes its survival to your courage,